Herennia Etruscilla, wife of Decius, was Empress of Rome from 249 to 251 AD during the depths of the 3rd century period known as the Military Anarchy. Between 235 and 284 AD, 26 emperors murdered their way to power in quick succession, and the Roman Empire almost collapsed under the blows of multiple social, political, economic, and epidemic crises and wars, both civil and foreign. Decius overthrew his predecessor Philip the Arab in 249. But in June 251, both he and his son Herennius Etruscus were killed by the Goths at the Battle of Abritus. Herennia Etruscilla would serve only briefly as Empress Regent to her minor son Hostilian before he succumbed to plague later the same year. Given the brevity of Decian rule, there are surprisingly many coins stamped with Herennia Etruscilla's portrait that survive. Hairstyles were in flux during the mid-3rd century. Herennia Etruscilla is depicted on coins with the low flat buns characteristic of the Severan dynasty, or in the newer column silhouette pictured here. A column hairstyle is any type of wide plait or twist, rising straight up from the nape, that is folded under at or near the top of the head, depending on the length of the hair. I will be demonstrating a 9-strand column. This is a challenging braid that requires patience and practice, but it is well worth the effort. This is not a braid one can do on oneself. In antiquity, wealthy women like Herennia Etruscilla would have had trained hairdressing slaves called ornatricus. I will be using the following period-appropriate tools: combs for smoothing and detangling, a bodkin for parting and separating the hair, and blunt needles and woolen thread to stitch the hairstyle in place after it is braided. My model has extremely long hair, which makes controlling the strands challenging. I first separated and twisted each of the 9 strands with a little hair oil. Locate the center and center left strand. Cross the center right strand toward the left. Weave the next leftward strand under toward the right. Make sure the strands keep together and groom and smooth the strands as necessary. Weave the next rightward strand under and over toward the left. Weave the next leftward strand over and under toward the right. Groom and separate the strands as necessary. Weave the next rightward strand over and under toward the left. Weave the last leftward strand under and over toward the right. And weave the final rightward strand under and over toward the left. Now that all the strands are in play, you will alternately weave the outermost strands toward the opposite hand. You must use your fingers independently to control and move the working strands while the other fingers and palms retain and control the idle strands. keep the strands separate, smooth, and groomed. Weave down the length of the hair. As you near the tips of the hair, some of the strands will begin to disappear. Redivide the remaining strands into 3 and continue braiding a 3-strand braid until you near the tips of the hair. Next, you will bind the ends with needle and thread. Wrap the end of the thread around the tip of the braid several times. Then stitch through and around the wrapped thread to secure it. Fold both the tips of the hair and the 3-strand braid into the center of the 9-strand braid. Loosely whip stitch the folded hair onto the 9-strand braid. Avoid puncturing through the 9-strand braid, otherwise these stitches will show in the finished style. Use your discretion. On shorter lengths, you will not need to fold the hair as much as is needed here. Lift the folded hair up to the top of the head. Stitch back and forth, grazing the scalp with the blunt needle to secure the bun. Keep the stitches loose enough so the braid won't deform. Now take small back stitches down the head vertically. Aim the needle so the thread sinks into the hair and is hidden. Keep stitching until you run out of thread. Clip the needle off the thread. There is no need to tie a knot. If the bun doesn't feel secure, take another threaded blunt needle and tie a slip knot in the end of the thread and attach the thread to the hair by passing the needle through a small piece of the braid and then through the slip knot. Tension the thread and keep stitching. The thread is tied around the eye of the needle, so the needle won't get lost if you accidentally drop it while working. When the stitching at Hairstyle feels secure, clip off the needle from the thread. After her son's death, Herennia Etruscilla sank into obscurity. Nothing is known of her life or death afterward. but column-shaped hairstyles continued to be represented on imperial coins until Empress Aelia Galla Placidia in 425 AD.